is flying in. We're going to give everyone 1 more minute. Okay, just 1 more minute and we'll kick things off in here. Wello, GM. Good morning, good evening. Oh, global weirdoverse these days. Global. Got a wave in the crowd. Is it a wave or a request to get up here? Just a wave. Love a good wave. Wello. Wello. Bunch of waves or requests to speak. Could be anything. Careful, I'll pick on you and then you'll be talking to everyone if you're not careful. Gonna take 1 more minute before we kick things off. Healthy looking crowd though, this is awesome. Right, for the guys that are here on time, I've just dropped a milk raffle into the intellectual property channel. That's intellectual property. Head there now. 2 mils of milk. I can see you all flying in now. Fantastic. Get yourselves a couple of mils. Sorry to the IP legalese crew who want to talk about sharing IP with us. We're going to absolutely smash this channel with milk for the next 2 minutes. So sorry about that. Right. Let's give things a go. Welcome everyone. Hello. This is the 3rd week of us running our AMAs within the Discord now, so a few of you will be getting to know what we're all about, but as we have so many new people joining us every week, I like to sort of reset, set the table, tell you what we're all about, what we're doing here, and what we're trying to achieve. So the format for this does exactly what it says on the tin. It's an AMA. Ask me anything. Ask us anything. Ask the project team anything. I'm currently on stage by myself, but we've got Crypto Jack, one of our co-founders, joining us today as well, so between the two of us, we're going to have a whole lot of fun answering the community questions that we've already received, and then some people are going to put their hand up, join us on stage as we go through the next hour, maybe hour and a half. We'll take a temperature check based on how it's going and how many questions you have as to how long we go, really. But we're here for you. That's the whole point of this. Our show is designed to give you the information that you want as this community starts getting excited and ramped up towards our cloning event. So we're here for you. Come through and ask us anything you like. Now, last week we got onto Formula One chat, so Drive to Survive was one of our main questions. So look, if you want to derail this weirdos chat with real life sport, I'm your man. There's not many sports I don't cover. You can talk March Madness, we could talk Formula One, we could talk the Six Nations rugby. I'm a disappointed Englishman this week, but look, we've got plenty of time here. We can cover anything you like, whether it's project information, whether it's stuff that's bugging you on a technical side of things, or anything. It can be really simple, or you can have some big picture conversations with us about NFTs or crypto, the world. But we're here for you. So this is what we normally do. We do a quick roundup of last week. Hey, Jack.
Well, hey.
We do a quick roundup.
I'd muted, sorry.
You're in. We'll give you a sort of key selection of the highlights of what we've been doing as a team over the last 7 days, and then start leading you into some of the exciting stuff that we've got on the map for the week ahead. And then we off with a bunch of your questions. So look, without further ado, we'll get right into it. One of the big things that we announced over the weekend was our minting on Ape tokens. So you'll have probably seen our tweet and our internal announcement, and there was a whole load of flying conversation in and around this on the weekend, and it was great to watch it sort of unfold as it happened. But look, the TLDR is that the Weirdos is going to be the first generative project to be minting using the Ape token as a payment currency. So unfortunately, Time Magazine beat us to the announcement of being the first project of any sort to be using the Ape token in part of their future plans. So a couple of hours before we posted on Twitter, they confirmed that they'll be accepting it for their future digital subscriptions. But look, I'm pretty sure from what we've seen, what we've read, and what we've researched, that we will be the first generative project to announce that we will be taking payment in Ethereum, in Ether, on ETH, or in Ape token. Now, if you go back to our announcements page, you'll be able to see that we've put some guidelines and timelines around what that's going to look like. So the price of the mint in APE will be confirmed on the day of mint, and the price in ETH will be confirmed 10 days before we mint as well. So the funny thing is, if you start hearing us talk about the mint price, you'll also get the mint date by definition, because we'll be giving you 10 days notice of the price in ETH, and then you can start making your plans accordingly as to how far you want to take this and how many creamless spots you want to acquire in order to be able to either meet your budget or your demand, whatever it is that you want to work with. You'll have all the information you need 10 days out. So that was minting on using APE, which is really exciting. Look, there's another bit of housekeeping that we want to just run by you one more time, because we keep on making this clear in the announcements channel, but there's a bunch of you out there that have still yet to collect your cream list from the early snapshot that we took a long time ago. So look, again, go back to the announcements channel. We've posted on Twitter, but if you were in the server and had connected your wallet before 9 p.m. UTC on the 14th of February, so going 5-6 weeks back now, you were entitled to one cream list spot at the bargain price of just 2 mils of rat milk. So that's for anyone who was in the server back in early February prior to the 14th and they had connected their wallet. So you had to have both of those conditions in order to qualify for that. Now you can tell really easily. You just type /claim into bot commands and it will tell you what you have available. If it says you have nothing, either you've already claimed it or you just weren't here and connected your wallet at the time. It's very simple. So have a look at that. Make sure that you're collecting what is owed to you, okay? Because those of you that have been around for some time, there's basically a free cream list spot to be, like I said, the low price of 2 mils, and we're going to get onto the economy of rat milk a little bit later on, both in terms of our economic update and there's a couple of community questions around this topic as well. So look, it's there. Plenty of you have yet to go and claim. The deadline for doing so is this Sunday. So if you haven't collected or actively claimed that spot by 6 p.m. UTC this Sunday, Mother's Day in the UK, 27th of March, you will lose out on it. So come and claim it this week, or just be sad that you're going to be sleeping on us, okay? Now, that is it. We'll probably come back and say that on Wednesday's AMA as well, so you're going to have more chances to hear from us. Okay, then what else have we been doing? Well, the rat milking game launched 10 days ago now, but since that launch, we've been tweaking the secret sauce and the formula behind the scenes to make it more entertaining, and I've pulled together some stats from our beloved co-crypto Jack to support this. But since we launched 10 days ago, get this, the game has been played 5,780 times. And that doesn't even include today's game's data, okay? So that's snapshot as of first thing this morning, our time in the UK. So if each game is 90 seconds long, that means that over 6 days of human time has been collectively spent milking rats online. I mean, I can't believe I've just said that out loud in a serious context, but 6 days of human time has been consumed tweaking, pulling, aggressively yanking rat milk into the economy from the mischief of rats from Rodentia. And just to, again, put a really fine point on this, you are contributing milk to the economy and your own balance by doing so. 10 litres of rat milk have been squeezed out of the rats in that time as well. So phenomenal work. You get to play every 2 days. We'll come on to the rat milking game in just a minute again. So wow, firstly, wow. But look, if you don't know about it, it's there. We'll talk about it now because I want to get on to one of our other main updates from last week, which was the faction challenge, which we announced for week 3 on Saturday. So this week's faction challenge is slightly different to the first 2 weeks that we ran with you in the community. There's a slight twist this week. Now, most of you will have seen what we're talking about, but the faction states, or weirdos, the faction with the most milk earned per faction member from games this week will be the winner. So let me say that one more time because there's quite a lot to take in that sentence. The faction with the most milk earned per faction member from games this week will be declared the winner. So again, it's not about the size of your faction, it's about what you do with it. That's what she said. It's really important that the faction is active and is taking part in our community game schedule this week, okay? So what does that mean? What games am I talking about? How do you take part? Very simply, we've just talked about the milking game, Milk the Rat. Go to www.theweirdos.com/game. Most of you know this already, but those of you who haven't, that's where you can find it. The only way you can play that game is by pledging your allegiance to the state or the Weirdos, okay? So very simple thing to say, but how do I actually go and now do that? How to join a faction? Go to bot commands and type /faction and follow the instructions, okay? That will take you to the website. That will take you to a drop page where you can pledge your allegiance to one or the other. And once you've made that decision, that decision is currently final. So think long and hard about the faction you want to align yourself with, because once you've made that call, that's your boys, that's your team, that's your family, and that's who you're going to be earning milk for in this contest, okay? If that doesn't work, then you might need to be connecting your wallet in the first place to the website. So if that stage doesn't work, type /milkme, MILKME, into bot commands, and that will connect your wallet and Discord ID to the site. And also you'll get an introductory boost of 2 mils of rat milk to start your collection going as well. So it's really important that you get yourself set up so you can actually start enjoying the fun and get the full Weirdoverse experience, okay? So select your faction. Once you've chosen on the website, you'll come back into Discord and there'll be a button to press within Discord as well to choose your side as well. So it's kind of like a 2-step process there. Really important that you follow that all the way through to get your Discord role, get your website affiliation all sorted out, and then start earning milk. And you get every 2 days, and it's a really, really simple way to build up your balance, okay? So don't forget it's there. You'll be helping yourself, but you'll also be helping your state or weirdo faction. And as we know from last week, the winners earn more prizes the following week. So we do a 24-hour giveaway for the winning faction. Again, this week will be more complicated than just playing the rat milking game because we've got a bunch of other games. So anytime you're awarded milk from a moderator or a member of Team Weirdo in connection with one of our scheduled community games like Pictionary, like poker, bingo, whatever it may be, it all counts towards the faction total, and we're tracking that in the back end. We've got CryptoJack burning the midnight oil to pull all that data together to give us a accurate picture of what's going on in the Weirdoverse. So look, get yourself involved. Doesn't have to be one thing or the other. There's a whole range of things that we're offering all week. There's quizzes, there's contests, there's events. So just look, get yourself stuck in. What else have we got? It's been a busy week across the rest of the project team as well. So we've got CryptoJack on stage here. He, one of our co-founders, and Kerno Cream have been on a bunch of AMAs in various other project servers. They've been spreading the weird word to a wide audience, lots of W's there. We also did 2 of our own AMAs like this one last week, Monday and Wednesday. We're going to do that again this week. And a Twitter Spaces with Kerno and myself, which took us back to basics really, because we were talking to the outside world for a change. And we plan to do another one this week. We're just sort of working out on the timings of that, but I think it's really important at this stage that we start really drumming home what the Weirdos is all about, and what we're doing and where we're going, and all the simple stuff around the project, okay, so people get a real sense of what you already know. What else did we do? We launched some new games. So we had Bingo last Wednesday for the first time. Well, other servers play it, but look, one of our challenges is getting this stuff rolled out to you at scale because we're such a growing community at this point. But we launched last Wednesday, relatively short notice, and we got 200 players playing Bingo one night, which was fun. A little bit confusing because it's quick and a lot of people hadn't played Bingo before, but it's very, very simple. You just get a game board with a bunch of numbers on it, and you're trying to, as the bingo caller reads out a number at random from the whole, what's it called, the tombola of balls or whatever it is, you pull out a number, and if it's on your game card, you mark it off, and you have to actively click on your own game card to mark it, and the aim is to get 5 in a row, whether it's horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. And the first person to get a row is the winner, and then they declare themselves, and we give them either a creamless bowl or some milk, depending on their situation. So it was carnage, actually, because all sorts of people thought they'd won or didn't know how to play, but we'll get it going properly again this week. I'm sure we'll get a proper game going. We also launched Wait My Plate, our first ever gross cooking competition. The submissions have been amazing over in the Wait My Plate channel. So get yourself over there if you didn't know that was taking place. That is in our, where are we talking here? Wait My Plate is in the retreat. And the retreat is now gated as well, which we're going to announce shortly. But basically, if you go to the info center channel within the retreat, you can now pick all the channels that matter to you, that you want to hear the information from. There's roles that you can select, and will ping you when there's information going on in there. So if you go to Wait My Plate, you can have the foodie role, for example, and we'll drop some stuff in there for you as and when there's anything that we want. We might do this again because it was basically funny. So we'll count up all the winners and announce the prizes a little bit later on this evening as well. So watch out for that in the Wait My Plate channel. In terms of the old games, poker, wow, I had 375 people sign up and take part in the first tournament last Thursday, which is kind of like the EU-friendly time zone. Then one of our legendary mods, Humble, she also ran one for the US, late US time zones and our Asian time zones, and she managed to pull in 546 for the second one. So insane demand for playing poker. We can't give out creamless spots to everybody, or milk for that matter, but it's just awesome to see people vibing in the community, talking during the games as well in voice, and just getting themselves familiar with one another and playing games and having fun all along the way. So look, we're super excited to be able to run these things at scale, and we're going to keep on doing that because you're telling us it's popular, right? So we're here to do what you want to do. What else? Oh yeah, of course. So we just talked about changing the channel structure just briefly there. So the retreat, we sort of soft launched last week with a slight change in how we're doing things down there. So we've got this information center. You jump in and you pick the topics that really vibe with you and you want to contribute to. So you used to be able to just see everything, but now you've got to opt in. So people have been asking, hey, what's happened to Weems? What's happened to Wait My Plate? It's all still there. You've just got to go and select the roles that you want to hear from. We're kind of conscious of the amount of pings coming from the server. Some people like having a lot of pings because they like not missing out on contests and competitions, but also we're conscious of the fact that there's people at the other end of the scale who hate being pinged, hate seeing the red notifications in Discord, really don't know what to do with them and get irritated that one project is just hammering them every couple of hours. So we're trying to be conscious of finding that middle ground of giving you a little bit more control over how you hear from us. So we're starting to play a little bit with that in the next week or so as well. So we'll be tweaking that formula as we go through, but you can expect to hear as much from us as you want to. That's probably the best way to explain what we're trying to do there. It's also a completely milk-free zone. We've said this before, but the retreat is a place where you go away from the grind. Okay, so we're going to come on to how we manage the grind in places like the Lodge as well and Milk Games in a little while, because we've got a couple of questions around this in the community AMA questions, and I've got some relatively strong views on how we maintain and protect a little bit of that original spirit of what we have here, so stay tuned for that. We also changed our support ticket structure, and again, that's quite a dull thing to say in an AMA, but let's get into it. So we spoke to nearly 1,000 of you in the support tickets last week. Now, you're not going to see that anymore because everyone's raising an individual query for themselves and they're not seeing the queues that we've been dealing with. But huge shout out firstly to CryptoJack, who has dealt with hundreds and similar queries over the last 7 days, but also our all-star mod team who have been scaled up, twisted up and wound up and then unleashed in the direction of community questions in the support channel. So look, they're here, we're here, I'm here to cope with your inquisitive and weird minds. But as I'm saying this, it's more of a plea to just, bear with us as we start to scale in the team behind the scenes. You're scaling as a community way beyond my wildest expectations. And so we've got an enormous amount of stuff to work through in the back end, and we'll get to you. And it's been great to chat to you. In fact, we've had quite a lot of fun doing it at times as well. It's been interesting waking up, having breakfast, and then dealing with an hour of IT technical support. But look, that's what we're here for. We're an NFT project. you might be buying your first ever NFT. We're here to help you make that step from your real life into the Weirdoverse. Ask us anything. That's literally the name of this. It's also the name of the support channel effectively now. So look, we're getting there. We're expecting you to have many, many more questions. We can't wait to speak to you, but hang in there as we start, working through that list. So that's support. And then we started talking about the economy this morning. So CryptoJack was up. CryptoJack doesn't sleep. He just waits in bed with ideas for what to do for the following day. And in that moment of quiet contemplation in his bed, he started thinking about how we solve some of our bigger picture problems. And he shared a very short economic update with the community. And just to recap from a few hours ago, he was talking about things like cream list spots and how we've arrived at where we are today. So we've currently issued just under 5,000 cream list spots, both from purchases from the farm shop. And there's been a ton of questions of when we're opening the farm shop again. And the short answer is, like with all when questions in Web3, soon. Farm shop will open soon. We can't say when because we don't know when. We've got to wait for the tea leaves to be correctly read from the weird cafe in the back office of Rodentia Farms. But we've been selling them through the farm shop at scale. We've also been winning them as a community through games, through partnership giveaways, through Twitter competitions. And that's kind of what makes up the 5,000 already. Okay, so within that 5,000, there's nearly 3,200 of you. So unique accounts holding cream list spots. So kind of an interesting piece of information that, because there's already 3,200 people who have actively got a spot in our pre-sale and really want to hold one of our cloning event tokens and become a collector of this project. So super, super exciting to see such numbers. But we've got a ways to go before we get to pre-sale, and so we've got to think about that journey from here to there and how we keep new people coming in who've only just heard about us interested, engaged, and give them a fair opportunity to take part as well. So all these questions are sort of swirling around our minds as we start moving forwards and closer to that target date. Rat milk distributed in the last 24 hours, over 5 litres. And so much of that's coming from the game as well now, because we've got different ways of distributing milk. We used to be very one-dimensional in how we did things. We drop milk in the play park as a raffle every couple of hours. Well, maybe we don't need to do that so much now that we've got so many people using the game to pull their own milk for themselves. So look, things that we're playing with behind the scenes. As a result, though, we do need to probably think about how we price up the next batch of cream lists. And I will leave it there on the economic point because I'm not going to say more than I've already said. What else have we got coming up this week? Well, I don't know whether Jackson will kill me for this, but we've got a Walther alert for the 173 people in the audience. And it is that we have, hopefully, some sneak peeks to share with you this week. Just going to drop that there, full stop, pause for a dramatic effect. But a few of us in the project team have seen a bunch of the generative cloning event collection now. And it's mega, mega exciting. We're just going to have a think about the best way of delivering some of that into the community and how we start sharing our passion for what we've seen with you guys and get you fired up for what's coming next. So it's been a big question in recent AMAs. When can we see what's going on? When I say soon, I mean soon, okay? So stick with us on that one. What else to talk about? We have a weekly schedule, which I have not yet announced, but bear in mind, we've been doing a bunch of things based on community interest. It'll be quite similar to what you've been doing recently. So if I just take you through the rest of the week verbally, I'll drop this into the announcements channel when we're finished as well. But we're going to play Rumble Royale after the AMA. We did that last week and that kind of went pretty well. So we're going to give out a few cream list spots afterwards, but in the Rumble Royale channel. So get yourself over there. You don't have to do anything. You just emoji react when the battle gets set up, and you've got 2 minutes to join the contest, and then we just re-roll it every couple of minutes after it finishes. Okay, so all in all, there's probably going to be about half an hour, 45 minutes of Rumble Royale taking place over there when the AMA is done. So step over there when we're finished, and we'll keep the good times flowing. And then tomorrow we're going to have bingo again. We're going to do that at 2 p.m. UTC or UK time. Wednesday morning UTC, we're going to do Pictionary Gartic Bot, which we do every week and is a little bit crazy. You know, it's basically the fastest finger first on a series of hand-drawn pictures that are generated by the bot. So look, we've been playing it for ages. We do mini-give it as well, but the big ones in the community come with bigger prizes. So it pays to go around and be part of the chaos in the Milk Games channel when we drop Gartic. I'm going to do an AMA on Wednesday at the same time as this, so 5 p.m. UTC. I'll put an event in the event under for this so that you can all get it in your diaries as well. Then Wednesday evening, 11 p.m. UTC, I'm going to do a weirdo general knowledge quiz. Now, not going to give you the topics or the themes in advance so that you can't do too much prepping of what I'm going to be asking you, but I'm going to be testing all your knowledge of the weirdos. Just leave it at that. And it's going to be fairly extensive, and we're going to cover it for a fair while this time. So, weirdo general knowledge quiz on Wednesday. Get that in your diaries. And then Thursday is now our pretty much guaranteed protected poker spot. We're going to play poker 9 p.m. UTC, and then the following morning at 5:30 a.m. UTC, which is really good for the actually just gone midnight at 12:30 in East Coast America, and I think is that 9:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Is that right? I should probably check that with Humble before I start talking out my arse. Saturday, we will finish our Weirdos versus State Faction challenge, and then we start giving away to the winning faction a bunch of rat milk contests in their dedicated state or Weirdo faction channel. So, and creamless raffles as well. So it's really important that you take part in all your games, as we said at the top of the AMA, get your rat milk game done, get playing poker, etc., earn the milk for your faction. We divide that total milk earned by the number of people in your faction and announce a winner. Sunday, Weird Art Contest. We were supposed to do this last week, but unfortunately, due to a series of other priorities, we pushed it. So we're going to do it again. We haven't given anyone the criteria for this yet, so none of your weird art will go in vain. In fact, we've seen a bunch of amazing things today that were just dropped into the community without being asked. So feel free to reuse all of that when it comes to the Weird Art Contest next Sunday, and that will run for a week as well. So we'll give you plenty of time to build up your artistic skills for creamless spots, but that is going to round out next week's major community activities. But underneath that, we play a ton of mini games in Milk Games all the time for various spot prizes and contests. Okay, so if it's not in here, it doesn't mean that we're not playing it. It just means that we're not announcing it to the entire community at once. And these events tend to attract now hundreds and hundreds of people playing at the same time. So some things don't scale very well. We've talked about playing rumble carts as a community, and that's great. It's really hard to run a 200, 300, 400 person tournament in rumble carts. It just doesn't work. Okay, if you can think of a way to make that work without it taking up 10 hours of my day, then feel free to drop a comment in the suggestions channel at some point. But we're going to play more tactical games of things like that without really announcing them in advance, so that we can keep the numbers a bit smaller, but then reward the people who really want to keep playing it. Okay, so that kind of rounds up the week ahead, and then I just wanted to give Jack the floor for a minute or two, because as we started to grow, we've talked a little bit more about security across the server in recent times, and we started to see an influx in interesting activity around bots, spamming, scripts, that sort of thing. And I just wanted to give Jack the floor for 1 to 2 minutes, just to give you a bit of an update in terms of what we've been doing from a security point of view across the Weirdoverse, and just give you that comfort that we're looking at measures to put in place to fix some of the things that you've been experiencing recently. So, Jack, if you're still around, feel free to unmute yourself.
Hey, I am here, and I see Mark in the audience as well, which has suddenly made me nervous that I'm not going to represent.
This is a test now.
It is a test, mate, and I'm going to pass with flying colours, I'm sure. So we take very serious attitude to security. Full stop. Like, nobody wants to hear this, but my background is from a cybersecurity background. So we were kind of very worried to see kind of at some point last week, a number of bots join the server, and we've been monitoring them. We've got a decent number of existing controls in place to make sure that the server is safe. But over the last few weeks, last week or so, without going into too much detail, we've kind of really ramped up our tooling and how we can kind of protect people in the server. It's something that we're reviewing on an ongoing basis. But as an example, kind of what Cheadle State mentioned, that we introduced the ticketing system, that originally was kind of a security action. That was so we could get ourselves into a position that we could say to you all that you'd never be DM'd by anyone on our core team. So that, in itself was set up as a security, something to keep the people in the server that more safe. So we've got in the background, 2 or 3 different systems helping us monitor and respond. We did get caught a little bit short on Friday evening, I think it was last week, whilst kind of we spend a lot of time making sure that the server doesn't get compromised, so it can be, hacked. Somebody post in our main channels, fake link notices. We did actually get spammed, which is importantly different. That normal people made their way into the server. They planned a time on Friday evening when they thought would be most appropriate, and they just launched hundreds of messages atting members of the server and posting a fake link site. 2 individuals, fell foul to that attack, and we've kind of worked with them and sorted that situation out directly with them. But it was something that we want to hold our hands up. We should have been better prepared to respond to spam attacks within the server. So we've done a full review over the weekend. We immediately Mark implemented a tool that automatically deals with spam attacks like that. So we've got tooling in place to respond. If that was to happen again, we wouldn't see the same effects, but it's something that we're continuing to review. So not the most interesting update, I guess. In summary, we're working hard to try to stay ahead of the bad actors that we know are acting in this space, and we'll continue to review and make improvements. I don't know if Mark's on stage. Probably got something smarter than that to say. I'll wait for him to see if he comes up, but no. So yeah, so that's where we are. Hopefully, if anybody spots somebody acting in kind of strange, potentially malicious ways in the server, please report them via a ticket. It's also worth saying we've now obviously been watching scammers and for a while and trying to kind of determine precisely whether they are scammers. And we've also noticed now that there are people definitely using bots to enter rat milk contests. So Austin, I know your position at the top. I can see you listing at the top of the league. You wouldn't want to be threatened by people who are cheating and stealing your title of the biggest cheat in the Weirdiverse. So we are going to be taking actions to banish them to a Wobot jail and deal with them accordingly there.
Yeah, you don't want to know the people that we know at the state that can make your lives misery, guys.
Oh yeah, horrendous.
Only for Wobots. Beep boop, beep boop. I have a couple of very patient community members who are putting their hands up to speak, and I think it would be good to talk to them before we get on to the AMA questions from the channel. So I've got Wombuck, who I'm just going to bring up. Wombuck's probably with a $sign Wombuck. Hi, Wombuck. You are coming up in a minute. I think you'll start off muted, so unmute yourself. And Wello, how are you doing?
Hello?
Hello, Wello. Was I scary? Sorry, Wombuck. If you just unmute yourself, you can have the floor if you want. I'll give you one more second.
Oh, I can't hear anything.
Oh, we can hear you. If you got hers now? I'm going to move you back to the audience while you figure out the audio on your end. And we've got Smolbly. Smolbly, I'm going to bring up. Shadle, I see you've joined us on the stage as well. Wello. Oh, I'm having a great time with it today.
Yes, interesting. We had some.
Jackie.
I can hear you, but it's just obviously I'm an admin, so we had some problems with a couple of people last week. But I've just checked the permissions, and it shouldn't be because of that. Shall I invite Smolby?
I'll tell you what. I'll start a couple of the community questions while we wait for people to join us back on the stage. So from the channel, we had Ernesto earlier who asked, has the Weirdos team incorporated as a company in real life? I don't know if you want to take that one, Jack.
It is a very good question. So at the moment, we have a legal entity in the organization that Matt Ghostbreath, the artist, it owns in South Africa. The plan is that the IP will remain with Matt, and then after the mint, we will be formalizing a new company. The jurisdiction of that company we're still kind of working out where it makes most sense, and the IP will transition to the new entity.
Cool.
So there's an existing company, but there will be a new fully formed Weirdos entity beyond the mint.
Question from Obi Willie or Ob Willie, brilliant name. How much can you bench press?
Who's that for?
Did I lose you?
You did.
It's for everyone. Anyone who's on the stage should answer this. So, Jack, is your bench press career behind you, or are you still actively moving tin off your chest?
Yeah, I got quite run over in like 2016, and that's my excuse for being a bit shit with my bench press. So I've got like a pin in my right shoulder, so mine's very poor, and I think my max ever was probably 105 or something. Not very impressive. Kilos, that is. What's yours, Nick?
Yeah, we should convert from the useful international metric to Weirdo Imperial for the US crowd amongst us. But I'm about 125 kilos, 125, which puts it at what I think. What's that? I'm just doing the math on it now. 275 in pounds in weird numbers. In weird numbers, that's 275. So, Willie, throw us what you've got, what you benching, and also your weight as well, because that's another important metric there as well. What's the bench to weight ratio?
I'm not even going to discuss my weight here. I'm carrying so much NFT weight.
Caillou says, what's the hardest thing in building this project and the community?
What's the hard thing?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm either ahead of you or you're still behind on me.
I'm going to leave and come back. Nick may have been rugged. Jadel, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? This does not sound good. Mark, can you hear me? Let me. Wow, I'm just hearing Morse code when you switch your microphone on or try to speak. Let me join with my mobile. I will be back very shortly. Hello, can I be heard here? Total rug? Well, it looks like you guys are stuck with me and Shadle, and I don't have the script of AMA questions, so I'm going to try and bring someone else up. Let's start with Small B. Small Blee. Hopefully you can accept this request. Come up, sir. We're having lots of success today on the AMA. Let's Cheadle Heat is back.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, this is embarrassing. Sorry about this, guys. How about now? Can you hear me okay, Crypto Jack? Have you got me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I've got you. I'm so sorry about that. That was 2 minutes of the worst, most alienating feeling when I'm just staring at a Discord that's not moving and voices that aren't responding. So that must have been great radio for the 154 people in the audience. I am sorry. I am back. I have switched devices and I am here to finish off the question that I was saying. I don't know if you were hearing me, Jack, so I'm just going to say it again one more time. It was a question from Kaya that was, what is the hardest thing in building this project and the community? Did you hear that? Did I get that far?
I did hear it. I should have. I panicked when you disappeared, completely forgot what you'd asked, and just kind of flapped while whilst waiting for you to return. So the hardest thing. What is the hardest thing? I mean, these projects are way more complex from the inside than they look on the outside. Having run an alpha server previously and kind of delivered commentary on what makes a project successful or unsuccessful, I feel a total fraud now looking at kind of the things that I was saying from the outside, having understood how complex these things are from the inside. It's it's effectively, it's like running a startup at hyper speed, and I've kind of worked at a number of different startups, and Mark, one of our other core team, has kind of founded startups as well. You're trying to deliver an incredible amount in a accelerated period of time, and you're juggling multiple things like you would in a startup, but everything needs to come together to kind of one crescendo of kind of a mint date, which is totally unnatural in startup world. You have multiple, once you've launched your product, you kind of have lots of opportunities to iterate and improve, and actually, this NFT space in Web3 isn't like that. You need to be putting lots of strings together at the same time. The the art, kind of make sure that you're building an active community. Your go-to-market strategy on your product needs to be bang on. So you need to be thinking about, you know, social media partnerships, all in kind of a very compressed time frame. And we've kind of made it more complex for ourselves by delivering what's super important to us. What we're trying to do is build these amazing collector experiences for you guys that bring these kind of fun moments of delight. These, you know, the squeak of the rat when you're playing the milk that rat game. You know, the whole point behind that was just like, if that made one person chuckle, or, you know, two people played it in a slightly inappropriate place, as my girlfriend did the other day when we were in the hotel bar where we're staying, and this mouse just started squeaking loudly from her rat started squeaking. You know, just the kind of focus on that level of detail and trying to execute across, you know, all of these different strands at, you know, hyperspeed is probably the hardest thing. But that said, it's like super fun at the same time. So we're laughing hopefully as much as everybody in the community is as well. So it's extremely rewarding, especially to see the feedback. And, you know, we couldn't have possibly imagined how well things were going. I think Nick's mentioned a few stats, and regarding the tickets, we're getting so many inbound partnership requests right now. It's just kind of unbelievable. It's, you know, we've always had faith in the art and the project and the fun that we could build and create, but seeing other people kind of experience that too and come back for more, and that's like incredible for us.
I really feel that on a deep level, that feeling of everything moving at a speed that is aggressive even for people with startup experience. So some of my perceptions coming in have definitely been challenged, should we say. You know, the ability to just keep up with things like DMs of, you know, even just from friends and from people I could consider friends across the Web3 community, and just, you know, the change in the priority and how I have to deal with things in Discord as well has completely forced a rethink of how I communicate. And, you know, I had more time when I had a full-time job to communicate, and now this is my full-time gig, and I feel like I've got less time than ever to talk, you know, in a way that isn't very project focused. So I do feel like I'm, you know, feeling all those things that Jack said, and the amount of inbound interest and how we deal with that and prioritize it has been a real lesson. I don't think any of us on the team expected to receive so much praise or sort of inbound passion for what we're doing, and how other people can take part and be part of it and partner with us or collaborate or just do something cool. So yeah, look, we're totally blown away by the response. The other thing I would say is, in the process of doing that, I think I was saying this as I was my Discord rugged, that we've really struggled to maintain the original spirit of the conversation flow from the old small community as we've scaled. So we're up to 23,000 server members now. Some of that, as we were talking about earlier, unfortunately came through on the weekend as a influx of bots. So, you know, in terms of real community members, we still believe we're in the 20,000s, but we've obviously acquired interest that we are less happy with in the process. Within that as well, we've also acquired people who are much more focused on obtaining the cream list, as people have mentioned in our AMA questions coming up as well, and the core of the conversation around just any old weird topic comes back through every now and again. But part of our job as a team of moderators and community managers is to steer that back into fun, entertaining, cool conversations, and how we structure the server and how we point you in the direction and reward that kind of that conversation is all part of my remit as well. So one of my major challenges has been just how we find a place for everybody, because we are trying to sell a project as well. We are trying to get people to buy 9,272 tokens fairly soon. So there is inevitably going to be a degree of trying to achieve the pre-sale spot for that. And we've created an economy which rewards a degree of being present and being part of it, and switching those tokens from Discord into a pre-sale spot as well. So, long way of saying there is a grind of sorts. We're desperately trying to minimize that grind and make it fun and make it entertaining and make you want to stick around, even if you've got what you came for, which is cream list or allow list. So beyond your means of being able to mint the token, we want you here. We want you taking part in all of this, because our stated aim is to be the most fun server in Web3. We're trying. We keep on coming back to this point. We keep on vibe checking ourselves. Is it fun? Are we doing fun things? If we're not, we either can it or we rethink it, and that's generally been our sort of guiding principle. You know, we talked about North Star metrics last week and cream listed active milkers. So we're tracking the number of people in the server that are taking part in activities but are on the cream list. That's kind of what a cream listed active milker represents to us. But those people are growing in number every single week. So we are still doing the right thing. You know, we have people who are on the cream list who are going to get to mint the project, but still taking part and still doing more. And they number in the thousands as well. So that we're super excited at what we're building, but it's how we get as many people aligned with that core group as we possibly can. That's been one of the hard things for me. And then the second point was, are we having a hard time on rat milk inflation for the cream list, Jack?
Are we getting a hard time, or are we?
I think it says, are you guys having a hard time on it? I don't think it means are we being given a hard time by people, but
All right.
are we finding that balance maybe tough? You know, how we deal with inflation as there's more rat milk going into the economy every day.
Yeah, I think that is a very good question. So I guess hopefully this is a satisfactory answer. So I think, as you guys probably know from these AMAs, like, I'm tracking all of the data very, very closely, and it tells us a lot. You know, it tells us where we need to be, you know, in a couple of weeks' time when we're going to do the pre-sale. And I was just worried I'm not giving away too much there, but you know, we said we're going to do this at the end of March, beginning of April, and we're sticking to that. But this data gives us these amazing insights into the, you know, what's going on in the community, allows us to take this kind of like data-centric vibe check. That said, I was caught, you know, I can see how many people have got more than 10 mils, more than 15 mils, more than 20 mils. So it gives me a real good understanding of what price to set in the store should I want to sell, you know, a certain amount of token of cream list per opening. That said, when I opened the store last Thursday, it went nuts. It went genuinely nuts. We sold over 1,000 cream list tokens at 11 mils in 24 hours, and we just weren't expecting that. So it seemed like there's a huge amount of pent up cream list demand in the economy that maybe we wouldn't have seen if we hadn't kind of opened that shop at 11 mils. But I think it's inevitable that we need to put the prices up to make sure that we can ease our way in to the target that we want to be at by the mint date. And why is that important? Is because, you know, we've said it before on multiple AMAs, we're not going to over allocate. We know that other projects have done that. We are going to make sure that the cream list allocation is below the the total mint number minus the complementary tokens that are going to a number of existing token holders. So, you know, it's a careful balance of getting these parameters right to make sure that we land on kind of the exact right number for total cream lists that we want to be giving out, which is around 8,700. So, well, I guess that's kind of a bit of alpha. We're going to allocate the whole collection in terms of cream list allocation, and then we'll assume that some people won't be able to kind of exercise their right to mint in the pre-sale and use their cream list, and then the rest will go to a public. I've kind of over answered that question. It is different. It is complex. There's lots of variables. We're on it. I think cream lists are going to go up this week.
On an adjacent point, I've just dropped someone into Rat Milk Anonymous, our second inpatient. As you were talking, it was it sort of got me thinking about the next question from the community, and we just had this constant barrage of like milk conversation in the lodge as you were talking about how we're dealing with this sort of economy challenge. And yeah, suddenly we've got our second inmate in rehab. So the Happy Chef, you're now a milk addict. You used to be a state member. You're now stateless. You're now factionless.
He's let us down.
You're in milk purgatory, as you wanted to be, I'm sure. The problem with Rat Milk Anonymous is, like all good addiction clinics, there is nothing of the vice that you are excited about using in your wider life. It is a rehabilitation centre. You are here to be treated, and there is a 69-point state-endorsed plan for getting you back on the straight and narrow and with some balance in your life. So the Happy Chef is going to spend some time in Rat Milk Anonymous, probably longer than they think they're going to be there, because we need to be satisfied that they're ready to be released back into the weird society that we have so lovingly built. So have a time out in Rat Milk Anonymous. We'll get back to you after the AMA with our first steps for treatment. And it takes me on to my next question from the community, which was from Seeing Sound. Actually comes at us with a brilliant question, Jack. They ask, with the current availability of milk, how will you combat botters who are essentially here to collect cream list and flip? And we sort of touched on this in a couple of different points in the AMA already, but just we talked about the recent measures of what we're doing about bots and scripts on milk raffles, and we're investigating quite a lot of that stuff. In fact, I ran a couple of smaller tests last night and picked up a number of people who were quite clearly just auto replying to anything that the MilkBot 3000 puts out there. So we've got you. You are on our radar, and we are coming for you. Jack has built a Wobot jail. You can probably now. I don't know. Can anyone see that yet, Jack? Is that set up privately, the Wobot jail? But we've got a Wobot jail. We'll be dealing with script, bots, and cheaters in a judicious fashion. And if anyone is familiar with our work in Rat Milk Anonymous, it is ruthless. So on the subject of jail, I was about to say that, we've noticed a slip back into the culture of milk spamming and begging. Jack posted about how begging is unbecoming of the community before, and I was going to say this anyway, but it sort of got accelerated. So as of today, we're going to start aggressively warning people for milk chat. So when milk chat. We've had fun with Rat Milk Anonymous. In fact, we fully rehabilitated one person and we released them back into the wild. But we're going to go up a level now. So all mods, all my mod team and Team Weirdo are going to start policing this across the major channels. And like I say, rehabilitation will be extremely milkless and art focused. We seem to take these issues to you every week, but botters, multi-accounters, milk beggars, we are coming for all of you. We want this place to be cool and fun and the best and most fun place in Web3. And we are wrapping that there. So the second point of that was... I
just want to jump in on the botting. Sorry, I missed my opportunity to speak. I was in the car. On the topic of botting, I won't say how we're eliminating the gaming of Rat Milk, because obviously that'll help people avoid detection. Mr. Xeon is having a lot of fun in tickets where people are asking, hey, something's gone wrong with my milk. What's happening? And his remark is usually, this is what happens when you are trying to game the milk system. And then what he will do is he will list off their accounts and say, which of the accounts would you like me to ban? And if you don't pick, he is just banning accounts. So that's a bit of a warning for people who are trying to game the system and Rat Milk on multiple spots. We will figure it out. We are capturing more and more people by the day. And you will be banned. And your wallet will be sort of blacklisted. So be careful, even if you think it's harmless. There will be consequences because we're aware that there is a financial incentive to try and game this. But we are on top of it, and we are banning people who are trying to game it.
Brilliant. In Mark we trust. Yeah, so there's just sort of two parts to that seeing sounds question I was just going to touch on. So with the current availability of milk, how do we combat botters who are here to collect cream list and flip? So I wanted to sort of talk about that flipping part just more generally, because we have done this before, but flippers more generally, I have no problem per se with flippers. I think flipping is a typical and standard behavior in any speculative asset class, and NFTs can't be immune to that. Okay, so in fact, the liquidity that flippers provide to people who couldn't get on the cream list in the first place, or who hear about it later on in a month's time, 2 months' time, is essential really to me in drawing more collectors in who vibe with the Ghost Breaths art and the project more generally. Now, I said this last week too as an example. It is a really extreme example, but I do think people forget this if you've been if you're relatively new to the space, or just like me, you're getting old. But I don't think we'll ever know how popular Bored Ape Yacht Club would have been if Pranksy hadn't bought 1,000 Bored Apes early on and sold them when the floor price was around 1 to 2 ETH. Now, his presence at the time really amplified the collection. He was one of the OG NFT collectors, Wales, big flipper. His bio said he's like the Walmart of NFTs, right? So the focus Pranksy put on the collection early on in its early phases as it was growing can't really be understated. If you look back at it, and I've just done this, but if you look at what he missed out on in profit since flipping his entire collection at that price, he has missed out on $380 million of profit on floor prices alone. And that's before we start talking about the insane amount of ape coin that he would have collected too, just by diamond handing his 1,000 apes, like our good man Crypto Jack on stage does with his apes, or other people in the community. So look, the TLDR is don't fear flippers. If the project is good, flippers help us go where we want to go, actually. And for what it's worth, I think from our data analysis, we can confidently say that our core collector base is large, and much, much larger than those coming in to grind a cream list or bot raffle it and then subsequently flip. And I think they're in the minority around here anyway. So that's kind of my take on flippers as a sort of constant sort of community concern, because I've seen that come up a few times, that on what we're doing to avoid flippers. I don't think we should be avoiding flippers, because A, you can't, and B, they do provide an essential liquidity service to people who really, really love what we do. If the project's any good, and we're just going to, keep on delivering, and you're going to be the judge of this. But if we've got a great project, flipping's great. It's going to give people the opportunity to buy tokens. That's kind of where I'm at with that. So if you want to say anything on that, Jack, please do. But I feel pretty strongly that we're in a good place, both in terms of the community we're building and people wanting to list their tokens ultimately and sell them to other people who want them more. I mean, that feels like a good place for us to be.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. I wouldn't really add anything to that, although I guess one of the benefits of the cream list rat milk economy is, we're seeing in great detail like the distribution of these cream lists, so we know exactly how many wallets have 1, 2, 3, and 4 cream lists, and that looks super healthy. And I'm convinced, even with a number of people who are going to want to sell their token after the mint, the distribution is going to be very strong, and it shouldn't have too wide an effect on the rest of the community. And as Nick said, obvious point, but we need, people need to sell, and we want people also to benefit and be able to see the upside and take some profits.
As you're talking, people are still asking for milk in the lodge. Maybe they're not on the AMA, but I'm going to start dropping the hammer pretty swiftly. Yeah. So if I'm half talking, half banishing people to the rehab clinic, then you know why we're slightly staggering on this AMA. But I'm going to go back to some questions that. Sorry, go on. Were you going to say something?
So if you see them and you want to pin their messages while you talk, I can put them in.
Yeah, we're a team. We're double act here. So
yeah.
One of us gets smashing them into the Priory, and the other one answers the AMA. But I've got one here which we kind of. I'm going to try and keep this as quick as possible because we did touch on this at last week's AMA, and I'm super conscious that I've not shared the recordings, and I'm going to do that too. But we're going to touch on these things because they're really important questions, and we're not dodging them. But there's utility questions coming back around, Crypto Jack. I'm just going to rattle off two of them in a row, and we'll answer them together. And Happy Feet 781 has asked us, with the whole rat milk economy. Will the whole rat milk economy carry on post-minting of the clones? For example, will rat milk be used for Project W? And Nara asks, what is the roadmap of the project? So we talked about utility extensively on Monday and I think Wednesday's AMA, and a little bit on Thursday's Twitter Spaces. So I'm sorry for the repetition for people who were here, but we've got to remember we are growing all the time and people are coming in and going, hey, when roadmap, when utility, what's happening beyond my token? I think you nail this response better than I do, Jack. But there's a few sort of highlights I want to come back to. We are trying to keep as much of the focus as possible on delivering one of the most exciting PFP collections I've ever seen. There's a real depth to what we're about to share with you, and I want the focus to stay on the main thing that's going to give you value in this community. It's not going to be whether we do this roadmap bingo with DAOs, merch, airdrops, ERC20 tokens, metaverses. It's going to be how good this token is and whether people have FOMO and want to put it as their profile picture across social media and in everything that they do on the internet. If we succeed with what we have built in this cloning event, we will see thousands and thousands of people change their profile pictures from other things to weirdo clones. And that is going to give you all the utility you could ever want. That does not mean we don't have utility. It doesn't mean we don't have a roadmap. It means we're being very, very cautious about how early we share our roadmap information with you. We have a very developed set of thoughts around our roadmap, and we've been working on this as a project team for 6 months now. So some of our ideas are very mature, but we're not sharing them. And there's a good reason for that, because we want the focus to be on the one thing that's going to give you the most value, and that's the token itself, not the thing after the token and the thing after that part of the thing after. It's going to be the token. And I know that sounds really counterintuitive with all the things that people do in this space, but we feel very strongly that the art is going to speak for itself. The roadmap is going to come after that, and we're going to surprise you and excite you with the things that are really linking in a meaningful way to what we're building in the Weirdoverse. And when I say that, that's a really, it's a broad point, but it's one for emphasis. We are building a Weirdoverse. We are not releasing just 9272 tokens, packing things up, and then heading up to Vegas for a month and spending all the money. We are putting money into a roadmap which is going to deliver sensible adjacent projects to an NFT collection that are going to really build the context of the story that Ghost Breath has put down into lore, and we're going to build it out in conjunction with him as we move forward. Jack, is there anything really major in terms of like our track record of what we've delivered so far that you really want to touch on again this week, or anything else?
Yeah, I do feel a bit like a broken record, so apologies if that's the case. As Nick said, I know there's new people joining us, but totally reiterating what he said, this team and this project so far has been about delivering and not promising. We're not going to signal and signpost everything that we're going to do in the future like that, and that's out of choice. We want to surprise you, we want to delight you, we want to bring you new things that no one else has done before. That's why we were so excited to announce on last night that we're, minting on ApeCoin. We want to give you these strong signals that this is a team that is going to continue to bamboozle you, and you're going to come into the Discord server and there's going to be something that you hadn't been expecting that is going to give you these moments of value and build further confidence in the team. And without even indicating that we're ever going to be anything as powerful or as Yuga Labs, that is a lesson to me that I've kind of we're learning from the best. It's something that they've done time and time again. They execute the shit out of something. They don't talk about, this, we're going to do the specifics of these things. They just do it. You wake up one morning and you see a message that says, fuck it. here you go, and you then have something that goes beyond what you were even expecting before. And we kind of feel like we've been doing that until now on a much smaller scale. But this is a project team that brought a one-of-one collection to life on its own smart contract, on its own website, with an optimized ERC 721 contract where the people who are purchasing paid very little. We bought you the rat milk game. One Saturday you woke up and you could start poking a rat's teats. We've got a shop in the server where you can buy creamless spots. This is all unique stuff that hasn't been done before, and we're kind of like proving by doing rather than by promising. So like our position is very clear. What do you need to know? We're going to keep building dope stuff that you haven't seen anywhere else, and we our entire intent is about surprising and delighting you. All we think about is delivering these moments of joy and value for the community. Mark said this on an AMA we did with my alpha server last night. Like this, most of this team, it's not about this like the Ethereum from the mint or the Ethereum beyond there. It's about building. This is a team of builders, and it's the builders in the space that continue to surprise. So yeah, on the roadmap, we're going to keep it close to our chest. If our collectors don't like that, and we haven't built trust with them, and they don't have faith in the project, then don't buy a cream list with your rat milk. Don't mint your cream list when we mint. Don't get. Yeah, that's totally cool with us. That's a decision that you have to make. Our job on our side is to try to build that trust with you from the experience you have from the moment you come into the server to when you join these AMAs to when you're on the site looking through tokens or typing random. All of those individual points of connection are our attempt to surprise and amuse and delight you, and we hope that makes you realize that that's something that we kind of intend to do a long way into the future, and for you to kind of for us to build that trust from you where you kind of something's coming, but we're not going to signal and signpost everything. And sorry, I know I went on a bit there, but to answer the rat milk question in a kind of vague way, the future of the Weirdiverse is going to be, dependent heavily on rat milk. We're not saying what that means in detail, but we're going to, you can expect to continue to be rewarded for having fun and enjoying the Weirdiverse with friends, and that rat milk will unlock access to virtual and physical rewards in the Weirdiverse as we build it.
Yeah, one of the things you said there that I know we keep coming back to, because everyone comes back to Bored Apes, but it's a really strong point. And their approach to road mapping, okay, they've just done Roadmap 2.0, which has come along 9 months after the release of their first token, which is starting to sort of tease and sketch out how a bigger world will look for the biggest, most important NFT project in present times. But their first roadmap, Jack and I will laugh about this because we were around when it first dropped, and I wasn't there from day one. I was probably there from like week 2 or week 3 or something like that. Shortly after Jack. But the first roadmap was basically come and draw on our toilet wall, and it was a pixelated wall, wasn't it? And it's probably still there. I'm not a holder anymore, so I'm down sad on the outside looking in. But they used to be able to just graffiti on the toilet wall as a utility for a roadmap item. They talked about how they'd pay back their mums if they got to 25% sold out. They talked about potential merch down the line, and it wasn't very fleshed out. There was a game, there was a treasure hunt, and that was it. There was sort of a very sort of loose hint at what was coming next, and none of it really was being quote unquote priced in to the price of the NFT, or was considered value adding for whether or not the community was going to like the pictures of the apes, and the community decided for themselves that they were a movement, irrespective of what Yuga Labs was taking them towards, right? So it was two separate things. And over time, it's sort of been slightly confused that the only way to derive value is by a complimentary airdrop, by being a token holder, or by sitting around and waiting to claim an ERC20 token that you can price speculate on for 48 hours before it tanks to zero over the next 4 weeks. I don't really see those things actually giving us token value. I see them being part of things which we might do if we decide they're the best solutions for building out the IP and the brand of the thing that we are working on the hardest. But I don't see them as being the only way of surviving and keeping your value and, you know, giving you the sort of maximum floor price in the future for the thing that you're going to mint for a much lower price at some point in the next few weeks. So I don't want to dismiss roadmap and utility, I really don't, but I want to get away from the obsession of, you know, counting on them to keep you alive, because that's really unhealthy. And, you know, nothing that Bored Ape Yacht Club did in the first iteration of roadmap 1.0 early on was important to the token value. For example, exactly as Jack said, you know, the mutant H stuff came down, you know, later on. We weren't getting excited because they were dropping a merch range. Okay, it was cool to have some merch, and I'm sure, you know, that there's very few projects that stick around for a while that don't do a merch range, but it's not going to drive what we are most excited about, which is what the Weirdo clones are going to do for you as a signal that you're part of one of the most exciting projects in Web3 going forwards, and people are going to want to buy that token because they want it as their profile picture. That's so much more important. It's really healthy that we stick on that point. I'd like to move on from utility and roadmaps, if that's okay with everyone, unless I'm really dodging the question where you feel like we need to be giving you more. So I'm just going to go down to a similar point from Aginator, which was just wondering if we can have any hints on the mint price yet, please. And I did answer this earlier to Aginator, but just for everybody's benefit, we are going to be announcing the mint price fairly soon, and that is going to come 10 days before mint, before pre-sale. So you'll have plenty of time to set your expectations of how much Ethereum or Ratecoin you're going to want to put aside. Sorry, I'll take that second point back. So we'll be announcing the Ethereum, the Ether price for ETH 10 days before pre-sale, and the Apecoin price on the day of pre-sale, because so much volatility in Apecoin. I don't think it makes any sense to be locking that in and experiencing volatility for 10 days while we get to the price point. It's just going to be another method of payment.
I mean, it's less than 10 days old. Perspective on that, right? So it would be absurd to put a price on it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, on that note as well, we had some questions around the benefits and utility of the Genesis or OG collections as well from Series 1, 2, and 3 that have already minted and are trading on OpenSea. So point this one at Jack probably. So what's the position here in terms of their benefits of being Genesis or OG holders as we head into the cloning event?
So yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen the Genesis collection. Before we move on to the kind of the specifics about the implications for the cloning event and the mint, I think just it's incredible art. It's where all of the you know, the deep thinking from Matt has gone into generating these rich characters. So, you know, those characters are going to play a very significant part in the Weirdoverse moving forward. So I guess that's worth saying before we go into kind of the more maybe the more interesting mechanics for the listeners here. If you own a Genesis from Series 1, 2, 3, any of the special editions that relate to those series, you know, including the Hello Weirdos, including the companions, all of those will effectively have the same value for the cloning event mint. You will receive a free clone for each one of those Genesis that you're holding. So Genesis holders will get one free clone per token that they hold. So yes, like that's, you know, people miss that often. We probably don't tell people enough that that's the case. And I think, you know, we're probably going to make sure that over the next few weeks we're super clear that there are benefits of holding those OGs. and we'll probably put some links in an announcement to the collection on OpenSea, though you can get to kind of the specific characters through the website on the Meet the Weirdos site. And if you hit Wandom /Wandom, then the link there will also take you through to OpenSea.
Cool. A few rapid fire ones now as well, and I'll take a few of them, and I might flip a few to you as well, Jack. So, Lol Richmond Heroes asks us a few things in a row. So it was any tentative mint date, or is it still to be announced? It is still to be announced. We've just said that. So we will be giving you a 10-day warning once we set the mint price. That's kind of the pledge. And we have also been talking more generally around the project in terms of being generally aiming for a late March, early April window. I think we're looking at early April at this point. I don't think it's much of a welfare drop to say early April. It's looking like early April. Will the current 4 cream list cap be maintained? We've always said it will be subject to further review. So short answer is wait and see. We're always tweaking the formula of what we think is a sensible upper limit for that. So chances are we'll look at that several times before we get to pre-sale. So unlikely, I think we stay at 4, but I'm not making any promises on that front either. We've not said yes or no, but we're definitely reviewing it and making sure that we get a fair and healthy distribution of creamless spots for the entire community going in. Will there be a Melt token in the future based on rat milk? I think we've just covered things like roadmap utility and ERC20s and sort of our thoughts around them. We'll do them if they make sense. If there's a sensible product that where the best solution for delivering is a ERC20 token as a payment currency, yes, we'll look at it, but we're not committing to it, and we're certainly not going to lock it in as some sort of enticing roadmap absent of any logic or thought that goes into why that would be the best and only solution for the Weirdoverse going forwards, right? So we will come back on that one as we start fleshing out with you the roadmap, but not today, and definitely not commitment. Is that fair, Jack? Would you echo that thought?
No. Yeah, no commitment.
You might not be ready to share.
Oh, no.
I'm going to put you on the spot anyway because that's my job. How many one-of-ones will there be in the cloning event collection?
Well, that's a good question. There won't be any hand-drawn.
0.
Total 0. There won't. Yeah. But I think, like, zooming out, our intent with this generative collection is to make every single one of these characters look like it was hand drawn. That is Ghost Breath, Matt the artist's kind of obsession at the moment, that these characters look like they're, he's hand drawn every one, that him and Mark are working together in tandem, artist and tech brain, to create something that feels like totally unique. Individual characters, individual stories.
It's a fucking nightmare, is what Jack's trying to say. I've worked on many generative projects, like including quite a few on Megapon, and obviously the work there. And generative art is awesome, but Matt has kind of just gone off and done something crazy with what he wants his collection to look like. I'm not going to spoil anything now, and obviously, we'll share some of the work this week, and even the work that we share this week is a sneak peek. It's one small part of the larger generative collection, which over time you'll start to learn more about. And genuinely, as we're sharing these internally and looking at the kind of the work that it's producing at the moment, it doesn't look generative, and that's the best compliment I can pay to the artist there, in that they look like you could slot them in the series 1 to 3 and there would be a descriptive bit of text that would make sense, and I'd be like, hey, cool, this character's fun, I vibe with this. So it's going to be a really remarkable experience as a collector, and that's why there's no one-of-ones, because it's genuinely unnecessary here. Every weirdo looks so different, and I think everyone is going to feel like they have a one-of-one anyway.
Yeah, and I think you guys have touched on this as well, but it feels like when we look at the output, and we are going to share some of this with the community soon, some of the detail from the generative is more detailed and more intricate and more interesting than some of the Genesis collection that's hand drawn, in my opinion. Now, obviously, these are all Matt Ghostbreath babies, and he would never be able to choose between any of them. But believe me when I say that the combination of traits and drawings create a far more diverse range and interesting range of outcomes in some cases than some of the relatively straightforward designs in the one-of-one hand-drawn Genesis. So it's super exciting from my point of view. That gets us about halfway through the AMA questions. I've got a little bit more time, but I'm conscious of your time, Jack, and Mark. I know you've joined us very generously on stage. So when you've had enough, I will wrap things up. But there are quite a few more questions, which probably end up spilling over into Wednesday's AMA at this stage, which is absolutely fine by me. But I can keep going for a little bit longer. So I'm just going to keep firing questions at you guys until you have enough and go home. So I'm just going to scroll back through the AMA channel to do this.
I have 5 more minutes before my children will want feeding.
Yeah, they do that, don't they? Wanting food. I've got one to put to bed in about half an hour as well.
They're really annoying. They need to be looked after. It's remarkable. Yeah. I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, my older one's starting to do it for himself now, which is like machine learning, but on a human level. So that's something to look forward to. But what is the new numbers for Creamless? We just talked about that. They might mean what's the new rat milk number for Creamless when the farm shop opens. If that's the case, we're not answering because it's not open and we don't pre-announce our conversion rates because the economy is volatile. It's crypto. It could go up, number could go up, number could go down, but we will get there when we get there. One division asks, should I hoard milk or spend it on as many Creamless as possible? Only you can answer that. I mean, I think that to take a serious answer for you for a minute, once we set the minting price, your answer will probably fall out of that. You'll probably get a better sense then of how many Creamless you'll want to have, and therefore, take that decision as it comes when we start announcing the mint price. In your case, I would personally say, because you'll get a feel of what your budget is or your appetite for minting once you've seen a bit more of the collection and you've got an idea of the price in your mind. Following that, we have talked about the post-mint utility of rat milk. There will be some, it will exist, and it will be a central part of the Weirdoverse. So in my opinion, there's always going to be opportunities to earn rat milk. So you would probably not need to hoard it for any reason other than to take surplus with you into the future for the as yet unannounced utility. So don't limit yourself on Creamlist if it means that you're worried about not having enough. But again, the price will dictate what you want to do, I'm sure. The collection size is 9272 cloning event tokens. Most people now know what 9272 is, but that does remind me that we've got new people here. So if someone could drop that into the logs right now, we'll just drop out some milk to the first person that replies. Why have we gone with 9272 tokens? Why 9272? We usually get some repeat OGs just flying in there with the correct answer on this, but it does remind me that we need to update our our FAQs on that, which is coming today as well. So that's going to come around. How much of in real life events and benefits are part of the roadmap? There will be some. There will be some in real life conversations that we'll bring to you, because we talked about this last week actually, that we're really looking forward to going through the free and public sale, because we want to celebrate. We want to do something to mark the occasion. That might be a private thing just that we do, but we also want to start vibing with the community. But we're a global community, so we can't do it everywhere at once, and we'll have to start thinking about how we do that in a thoughtful way that means that people can meet up in their local areas. Now, we're not as far down the road as announcing all our plans on in real life events as some of the already established projects, but a lot of this stuff is community led as well, so don't limit yourselves. You know where you guys are if you start talking to each other in the chat. Why don't you build your own reveal party or post-mint party or whatever it might be. That's how Bored Apes did it. They gathered by trait. You've got Hollow Apes who do their own thing. You've got amazingly the Coin Eyes guys have a Discord as well. Even Coin Eyes apes are apes. So they're all doing their own separate things. We've got UK BAYC over here doing their thing in London. So organise your own as well. I mean, don't rely just on the roadmap to give you utility. And that sounds like a real cop-out point, but people do create their own utility all the time, and that's the whole conversation around IP and how that leverage of what you own for your own benefit is an opportunity for you down the road as well. Can we spill a bit about what is Project W, Jack? Why we need to hodl our cloning until step 4, the Project W. So what is Project W? Well, we're not going to tell you what Project W is, actually. Sorry, Jack. I'm not going to pick on it because it is part of the roadmap conversation. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back one question to Athens, who says, why can't the shop be open without restrictions permanently? That's a good question. I think I know the answer, but I'd love to hear it from the original weird economist of the team. Have I been rugged again on sound, or are you rugged, Jack? Who is it? If people can hear me, just tell me in the lodge, because I'm super stressed about my sound today. Oh, everyone hears me. Okay, cool. Everyone can hear me, but why can't I hear them? Try and say something, Jack? Here's another question for the lodge. Can anyone hear Jack? Jack's not talking. Jack's been rugged. That's fine. Oh, it's fine. If Jack's been rugged, I'm all right with that. I can talk. I'm good at talking. I'm good at talking crap. I can talk. Why don't I answer the question then? What was I even asking you? What was I asking you? 9272 is a weird number. You're absolutely right, yeah. I'm not sure if you're the first person. I'm going to need a mod to help flip the difference between you all. Why can't the shop be open without restrictions permanently? Yes, excellent question. The simple answer, I think we touched on this earlier when Jack was talking about the whole economic challenge. I don't know if you're back, Jack, but if you do, just start talking over me.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back now. And look,
Okay.
more luxury than ever, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh wow, same headphones. So yeah, it comes down fundamentally to our commitment not to oversell the collection. Sorry, I over allocate whitelists, cream lists. So we're literally, imagine us like pilots trying to guide a plane into land on the perfect number of around 8,700 cream list spots allocated. We want to make sure that's as fair as possible, that people, we don't sell out in the next 72 hours, and then people who only hear about the project in a couple of weeks' time have no ability to get cream listed. So we're trying to keep it super fair, reward those that were in early, reward those that are contributing, keep it super fun, keep the community spirit alive, have things to play around and talk with. So that's the reason.
Pretty strong answer if you ask me, but I'm biased. I'm going to take one or two more. I think there's a hand up in the crowd actually before I do that, because I'm conscious that you guys
invited 2 people up onto the stage now. Smallby.
Smallby, you've been waiting all AMA, and I'm so sorry that we've been ignoring you. I don't know if you want to unmute yourself, Smallby or Wombat.
Hey, what's up, guys?
You've both gone at the same time. It's like London buses. We've got an analogy for that. Let's start with Smallby. Sorry, guys.
Can you guys hear me?
I'm going to bring some order to it. Good. Yeah. How are you?
Oh yeah. I'm fine. I was I was trying to talk. I was getting rugged, but yeah, man. I can't wait to change my PFP, man. I'll be looking at you guys. Very unique art, and it's just like very like oddly fascinating. So yeah. My question was, if we join a faction, does that mean we have a 99% chance of getting that faction mint, or like if I'm state, do I have a 50% chance to get a weirdo, or do I have like 100% chance of getting a state? And I'm only asking because I'm somewhat fascinated by the other side.
by
The simple
the
answer is
Oppo.
Wait, what?
You're fascinated by the other faction.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right. Wow.
which faction are you
Wait,
in right now?
yes.
Which one are you in?
Do I have to say?
No, no.
No, that's fair. We can look it up
We're,
though.
we're much as we
Yep.
are state aligned, we are also project team, and we are friends of the weirdos. Much as they don't like it when I drop into their chat and start flooding their faction, but yeah, we are friends of the weirdos at the project level. So if if you're worried about that, you don't need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
So I don't think so having declared a side now has no impact on what you'll mint. The mint is totally going to be randomly allocated, so it's not going to have any bearing on that. So you might get if you're minting 4, you might get 3 of one of the other, 2. There really isn't. There's nothing really to say, to like the term will have any impact on what you receive. We still do need to do a bit of work on understanding the ratios. Like, there's a big question in our minds. Should the scarcity of weirdos and the state be the same? And that wasn't the true in the generative collection, as you probably know. There were only 50 members of the state, so the state are more scarce, rarer, which is why, of course, the higher value and more important. But so yeah, it will be totally random. When you mint, you'll get random factions. Random
Okay,
and sub factions.
yeah, that's really really fascinating. And yeah, I was about to ask. You just answered my next question because I was gonna ask about the supply of the different size. But yeah, you guys got it.
Yeah,
It's
50-50.
really it's well. There's factions within factions as well. Don't forget that. So what Mark was saying, we're determined to create a collection which is feels like the characters are totally unique, because there's males, females, there's robots. I don't want to give too much away, but there's all different types of body sizes and types and head sizes and types. So this really is going to feel, we think, quite different from anything else that you've seen. And as we look through the collection, this is another kind of piece of alpha. As with the Genesis collection, there will be nudity. Now we're trying to decide now. Here's a question: how much peen is too much peen, or how much boobs are too much boobs? So within the collections, there will be special little sub factions where maybe nudity features more, for example, or less. So yeah, there's
I,
still some decisions to be made.
yeah, me personally, I was kind of oddly drawn to that too. I kind of like the freedom, free mind, free thought. Let everybody be free. Let everybody be weird. I've never ever seen this on like any project before, so this was like really like unique and original to me.
Yeah, it's a
For
battle of
that same reason.
ideologies. You've got the liberal weirdos who are free thinking and free spirited, who very sort of liberal leaning, and nudity is part of that identity in wider society. And then you've got the
Yeah.
conservative, thought controlling, society controlling slightly more right-leaning, conservative-leaning state members who seek to eliminate that freedom of thought and control a population. And so it really does sort of speak to those sort of wider, almost like political debates that we have in our own countries and societies all the time. And I think that's a really interesting way of bringing it into a collection, actually, through the absence of or the introduction of exposed genitalia. And we get paid to say that.
And I know we can't give sneak peeks now, and I'm not going to describe this as well as I'm not going to do justice, but I'm currently looking at a test run from the punk females, so that the punks will be one of just 14 of those sub factions on the weirdos side. She's got quite an impressive bush. She's naked. Well, she's not naked from the waist down, but she's exposed. She's wearing stockings, a yellow bikini. She's got sunglasses on, ridiculously cool kind of conical spiked hair, yellow lipstick, and a weirdo's earring. And her what's the expression? Her collar doesn't match her cuff. What's the? She's got a blue bush and yellow hair. So these are gonna when you start to, and this is just to kind of bring this back. And she's kind of, this is there's no average body size, but she's not a particularly thin and she's not a particularly big lady, and we have all of that range. We've got males and females. We've got these different body sizes, different head and face shapes. So it's honestly, it's gonna, if you don't love it as much as we do, then we've done something very wrong.
Oh man, I'm gonna have all of these. I'm gonna have a PFP for all of my social, all of my social profiles.
Did you say PNFP?
PNFP.
Yeah, I'm gonna free the nip.
I think people are gonna, it's gonna start a serious conversation about wiener size and how it's everything's every size is normal. No, we that is genuinely part of the vision from the artist Ghost Breath. This is a conversation about, we call this collection of weirdos, but we're all weirdos. None of us are the same. We're all different, and that's amazing. And if this collection doesn't say that more than any other that exists out there, then I will be very, very surprised.
Yeah, same.
Cool. I'm going to let you jump back into the audience because I really want to bring up Wombuck, who's been waiting super patiently, Smallby. So thank you so much for that.
Smallby.
Great to hear.
All right. Thank you, guys. I just want to talk and stuff and catch up, get to know you guys and ask questions. But all right, back to the state I go.
It's great to speak to you.
It's great. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Right. And it brings me sort of around to that point that I think a few of us have talked about before, which is because the potential to mint a weirdo or a state will be separate to your declared faction. It'll be interesting to see what people's collection habits become after the mint as well, because maybe people really have started to identify with their faction beyond the Discord games. And so what happens if you are state and you pull a weirdo? You're going to keep it? You're going to list it? You're going to go after your state members on secondary? It's going to throw up some interesting collector challenges as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out. I've got Wombuck here, and then we'll take another couple of questions after that and wrap things up. So if you're still there, Wombuck, if you want to unmute yourself, I'm ready for you. Hello.
Hey, yeah, man. Thanks for letting me up. And like Smobly was saying, I like the whole concept behind the project. It's very unique, weird, and the first of its kind. So the question I had was about the Rap Mill game. Basically, I know after you play the game, it's a 2-day cooldown period. I was wondering, will you guys ever update it to make it a lesser time, like a day or something, or anything like that?
Question, very good question. I've asked this question as well, so I've had my answer. But Crypto Jack, do you want to sort of detail those thoughts for the community?
So the thought that's going through our mind is basically the Rat Mill game, as Nick said earlier, is creates liquidity or adds liquidity to the rat milk economy. So it's effectively like stimmy checks, which can cause inflation. If we were to increase the frequency of the game without changing some other things, then we'd if we were to half the cooldown time, then effectively we'd be doubling the supply from that source. So it would have implications for kind of creamless pricing if we still wanted to stay on track. So we may reduce the cooldown time, but that will probably come hand in hand with a reduction in the possible maximum scores. Right now, I think I was looking at the data this morning. The just if you want to kind of benchmark yourself against others, let's see if I can pull this up. Yeah, if you want to benchmark yourself against others, I think we're on about an average of 2 mils per game for most people. So don't know how you fare against that, but if you imagine 800 people played the game yesterday, 2 mils per person, that's kind of 1,600 mils into the rat milk economy. If we were to do that every day rather than every few days, there'd be some impacts.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of challenges, haven't we, when we think about this sort of thing? So cooldown is frustrating because everyone wants to play. Inflation is a problem because of the impact it has on the creamless economy. And so we could halve the prizes of the games, but only by whole numbers. So you could end up with quite a few people going home with nothing. And I think that's probably a more frustrating experience, even if you're doing it more regularly. So there's a really sort of delicate balance between creating something that's still fun to do and gives you the sort of outcome that you're looking for. So I totally get the question, because I want to play it more regularly than I have been doing. In fact, I've been outsourcing the production of Rat Tweaking to my children, and on the next cooldown, it's going to be my big son who's going to take one for the state. And yeah, the state supports child labour. What can I say? But we're going to be sharing it around the family, and everyone wants to play, and more so than every 2 days, right? So it's fun. I get it, but yeah, we've got to think about the wider challenge of how we manage the bigger picture in the economy. And I don't really want to take things away from other places like the games that we do and the raffles as well. So it's a big jigsaw of variety that we're trying to think about these problems.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I just like the game because, like, when you press it to rap, make the little noises and stuff, it's kind of funny and interesting.
That's right.
Noises are so good, aren't they?
Yeah, like you said, the analogy you use with like a stimulus check, I get it. So yeah, but yeah, thank you. The question I had.
Love it. Thank you so much. I'm going to put you back down, and thanks for all the waiting as well. I know we were talking forever there. So
we did have quite a long conversation about whether the squeaks that the rat was making should be more giggly. When we first posted about yeah, because that's worth stating, right? Like, in Matt's mind, the rats they enjoy being milked. It's not a chore for them, like milking is in milk producing industries in real life now. They bloody love getting milked. Like, they basically sit around on plump velvet cushions waiting for their turn to be milked, to placed on the machine, and they're treated extremely well. Matt the artist is a vegan, very passionate about animal rights, and it's really kind of part of this is drawing attention to in his mind, to kind of like some of the ridiculousness of milking other animals and drinking their milk. But they're treated very well, the rats, and retired after they've done a good job.
Yeah, they get tired, so we do have to consider how we replace them and keep them well as well. So it's very much a health and well-being retreat, as well as a productive, active farm. So we do offer a number of different services at Rodentia Farms, and we think about the whole rat, not just its product. is almost going to do it from us. I'm going to look for maybe one more question if you've got 2 more minutes, Jack. I've got to go and put my daughter to bed after this, so I'm going to try and keep it pretty brisk. We've got 1 or 2 more things. Leaning Mind asks, will there be a shortened version or important points written? Probably not at this point. I'm going to be moving on to some other community stuff afterwards. So if anyone is happy to listen to the AMA recording that we release and produce some bullet points, you can be rewarded with milk for your efforts. So I'm very happy to outsource the summary, but there will be a recording that you can listen to maybe at your leisure at another time. So maybe that's the solution for you, Leading Mind. But you did also ask one more question, and maybe we'll finish on this. Are you not afraid that the community is still too small in proportion to the amount of clones being made? Can you share your direction on how you'd expand the amount of people interested in Weirdos? Kind of touch on this a little bit again, but just to finish off on a bit of a high, we're actually super bullish on the amount of people that are interested in joining the cream list and having a token ultimately. We are tracking this data all the time. You've probably heard Jack talk about snippets of our information both today and in the announcements channel this morning when we talk about the economy at large. We are actually probably more concerned about the other end of the scale, which is how we keep options open to people who are still just learning about us, but will in a week's time or 2 weeks' time have the passion for this project that you already have. That's kind of something that we're thinking about right now. We want to make it reasonably fair for people who find us a little bit later, because there's nothing worse than just being locked out of a project because you weren't early. I get that being early should be rewarded, and they've definitely taken steps in that direction, but we also like the idea of people being able to find something they vibe with, even if they're a little bit closer to the main event, and have an opportunity to be part of the show. Now, that's one aspect of it, but the wider point that I think you're touching on is, have we got enough people to sustain interest? And look, based on the information that we're tracking every day from what you're telling us in the server and our insights from it, we have a lot of people, and there's more to come. And we're very excited about the growth that we've seen in the active and engaged core of the community over the last 2 to 3 weeks. It is going to a place that's going to give us many more people than can buy a token on launch day. So that's not really trying to drive desperate FOMO. I'm not saying that to make you feel guilty about owning a token and not using it or anything to that effect, but there will be a lot of interest in this, and we're seeing it already, and we're still a little way out. So I feel like we actually need to throttle those controls a little bit in terms of giving people a fair chance to join us. I don't know if you want to finish on some closing points on that, Jack.
Only because it gives me an opportunity to talk about clams.
Yeah, clams.
Cream listed active milkers. So we're tracking this number very carefully. And what does it mean? That means people who own a cream list spot and are being active. So because of all this activity that they're generating, whether they're entering and winning contests, whether they're buying cream lists, whether they're playing the game, these are all kind of active signals that the community are interested and excited to exercise their right to buy a cream, convert their cream list spot into a real token. So we're tracking that very carefully. Our target was to get to the point where we had I think most of you who are in the space are probably aware that a really healthy unique holder count post mint is, you're doing very well if you get to the point that you're around 4,000. So we're kind of tracking that very closely, and the numbers look very positive that we're going to end up in a place just with the pre-sale that we get to where we want to. So that doesn't answer the question in its totality. What brings in new people after the mint? And really, that's one of the reasons that we keep trying to bring this back to the art. If you're here today and you have a cream list spot, I have no doubt that you are going to be owners of a collection that in the days after the reveal will probably be the most talked about collection on Twitter, just because of the diversity, the uniqueness. There's no way people have seen something like this before, and that is going to bring a lot of new eyes into the collection. And then what the team executes on after, in those weeks after the mint. I think, there's lots of plans that are going to bring lots of additional attention to this this fantastic art and project and artist.
And on that note, I think we're going to call it a wrap for this evening. So we've got another AMA on Wednesday at the same time, 5 p.m. UTC. I'm so sorry if we didn't answer all your questions today. We've covered a massive range of topics and tried to sort of give you a bit of a teaser for what's coming in the next few days. We're going to do it all over again for new people on Wednesday, or if you just haven't had a chance to turn up or have your question answered today. So join me, same time, 48 hours from now. I'm going to take 15 minutes while I say goodnight to my daughter, and then I'm going to head over to Rumble Royale and start a creamless giveaway on a series of battles where only one person per battle can win. Last person standing. No prizes for second, no prizes for third. Winner takes all. I will see you over there in about 15-20 minutes, and I'll drop a ping in that channel when it is time, and I'll do that ping for State and Weirdos. So if you're not in State or Weirdos, get yourself a faction in the next 20 minutes, otherwise you won't hear from me. I will speak to you all soon. Thank you so much for all your time, Jack. You've been a legend as ever. And Mark, who has now left us as well, but we'll chat to you all soon. Take care.